Hey, y'all. Welcome once again to our monthly COGG Let's Play. I am your host, Caleb Eno, and yeah, I'm excited to be here. I want to say apologies ahead of time. If you haven't noticed, if you're around Ohio in the Midwest, it's been warm, like very warm. And what that has meant is that the trees have just come alive. And unfortunately, when the trees come alive, my nasal passages have a revolt against against them. So there is much tree pollen in the air, and though I have taken the Flonase and the allergy pill and the eye drops, still having a hard time. So please bear with me through that. I will hopefully not lose myself in a sneezing fit at any point. All right, so where are we today? We are going to do something fun. So if you have known me on any particular length of time, it is entirely possible that you would have discovered a particular love that I have of a series called Mega Man, of which there are many. Yes, I fell in love with Mega Man super early on, probably around kindergarten, thanks to the critically acclaimed Mega Man cartoon show. Not critically acclaimed. It's actually a little painful to watch at times, but I loved Mega Man. Mega Man had so much to do with my early childhood imagination and inspiration for recess play and for game ideas and for the things that I love to do. So Mega Man and I go way back and is near and dear to my heart so much. Now, if you know anything about Mega Man, you probably will also know that there are multiple series of Mega Man. So there's the original series, there's the X series, the Mega Man Battle Network series, the Legends series, the Zero series, the ZX series, the Star Force series, as well as a smattering of other pieces and parts littered out throughout on all that. Incredible collection of games, the Mega Man series. But I was in just the perfect slot, I think, to experience the incredibleness that was the Mega Man Battle Network series. So Mega Man Battle Network was a Game Boy Advanced series. And I remember, avid Mega Man fan that I had never heard of it before, when my dear friend Lamar had a paper route, and occasionally I would go with him on his paper route. He had the game with him, and he had his Game Boy Advance, and he was trying to fight Number Man and having some difficulty with it. He's like, "You love Mega Man. Do you think you can try beating Number Man?" And I was like, "What is this? What is this thing that I've never heard of before? I have to play this." And so I actually believe I did beat Number Man. And then maybe also played too much of it, and because he let me borrow it like a little bit, and then I probably played too much of it. Sorry, Lamar. I hope you went back and played it because it was great. But I loved that game, and eventually I got my own Game Boy Advance. Thanks, Mom. And got Mega Man Battle Network 2, and then 3, and 3 both white and blue, and then 4, and then 5, and then 6, and the DS version, and then Star Force. I loved this series. This was a fantastic series. Loved it so much. So so what we're going to be talking about today is on Friday of last week, huge, awesome, big victory for the resurgence of fan favorite games being reformatted and restored into a way that they can be played today. The launch of the Mega Man Battle Network Legacy Collection. Now, this is a thing that Capcom has been doing for a bit. They have been taking the old Mega Man series and re-releasing them in these legacy collections. maybe a little cash grabby, but also most of the time very good, faithful restorations of the originals, which has been really cool. So there's been obviously the original series have a legacy collection, the X series does as well, and now actually the Mega Man Zero series has a legacy collection. That's right, I started playing that one, and now the Mega Man Battle Network series has had a legacy collection release, which is huge. This is a series that, again, a lot of people like me played it when it came out in that window of like kind of, I think, late middle school ish, maybe early. It was probably around like 5th or 6th grade in there somewhere for me, in that nice perfect spot where it was exactly like the target audience, and it just jived really well. So really, really excited to talk about this and share a little bit of it with you today. I think that they have done a really nice job, and I've been reading reviews and seeing what other people are talking about. It sounds like across the board, it's actually a pretty good restoration, and which is not something that we have ever talked about on one of our Let's Play channels before, which I thought would be kind of a cool opportunity for us to go through, talking about what does it look like to restore older games and reformat them. And so, we're going to take a little bit of a look at that. We're just going to take a look at the game itself. I'm going to specifically play Mega Man Legends 3 because I think what happened there is Mega Man Legends 1 was awesome, but as happens a lot of times with first entries, is they had some really good ideas, but they hadn't quite nailed that formula yet. And then they iterate on the second one. And sometimes the second one is that really good one, that one where everything clicks together, and then the third one they try to do some extra stuff and it doesn't quite work. I think in this case they did one, really good ideas. I've been playing through one, and there's some rough spots. Two, I think they introduced some new ideas that really started getting them to cohesion, and then in three is when they really got it, when they nailed the formula. And then I think 4 and 5 started going some different directions they started tacking on some extra things that may or may not have been as overall great, but still good games. I don't have opinions on this or anything. Mega Man Battle Network, we're going to go and we're going to take a look at 3. So the Legacy Collection, so Capcom, the original developer and publisher for all of the Mega Man games, and I would say the original creator's name, but I feel like I'm going to butcher it. I think it's something like Keiji Inufune. Could be totally wrong about how the appropriate pronunciation of that is, but yeah, he's the guy who came up with the original idea for Mega Man, or Rock Band, which is a musical term for those of you who don't know. Rock Band, and because the characters rock and roll, and then there's blues and bass and treble, and anyway. It's a good thing somebody isn't here to like bounce off of me talking about Mega Man, because I will just talk about Mega Man for forever ad nauseum, as my wife can tell you. So yes, for the Battle Network Legacy Collection, Capcom worked with Digital Eclipse and Backbone Entertainment. Basically, there are studios out there who specialize in this kind of work, of this restoration type of work, taking older games, being able to adapt them and update them, put them into formats. I can imagine there's like a lot of complexity in that, right? Because you don't want to have to rebuild the game from scratch. That's a lot of work, and that's potentially very fraught and complicated. But you also have to sort of create translation layers, right, between the original art assets and the original pieces and parts. And you want it to be a faithful restoration, unless you're doing a remake. And that's a totally different world when you're doing a remake. But when you're doing like a restoration, you want things to have worked pretty much the way that they worked before. One of the classic things in the Mega Man Battle Network series is there's certain typos and spelling errors and certain words they got wrong in the translation. And one of the big questions that people had going into this was, are they going to fix all of the classic errors, or are they going to leave the spelling errors? And they left them in. They actually did. They kept in all of the classic spelling errors in the Battle Network series, which is just fantastic. That kind of honoring, I think, of the original source material is excellent. Yeah. So, let's see. Okay, yeah. So, collecting myself here. Yeah. So, there's a lot of work that involves creating translation layers between the original source code and the original system. It's a little bit like creating an emulator, but also way more than that, because you can't just emulate it and stick with it. Like, you can't just slap that. People will be unsatisfied with that. It has to be like, I mean, support for 4K monitors, for instance, like mine, that little tiny Game Boy Advance screen. If you tried to just like scale that up and slap that on a 4K monitor, you're going to run into problems. It's just not going to look good. Your pixels are going to be just disaster. And so there's actually quite a bit of work that they've done in terms of restoration work, and I've been playing through the first one, like I said, very pleased with what I've seen. We'll get into it and show it to you. So Capcom did this really cool thing with Mega Man Battle Network in particular, leading up to the release of the Legacy Collection. There was, so as I said, there was an original Mega Man cartoon show way back when I was in like kindergarten, and they had, I believe, I have to double check on this, but I believe it was the same studio that did the original Mega Man, that also created a Mega Man NT Warrior series, and that was based off of the Battle Network games. And the NT Warrior series, I watched for a bit, maybe not as much as the original one, but they released the entire series for free as a playlist on YouTube, and I believe it's available until sometime in September. So if you would like to go watch the old Mega Man NT Warrior show, which it was so funny because I've been watching a little bit of it, of course, and they've used some of the sound effects and some of the plot line structure from the original Mega Man series. You could see it kind of hidden in. Also, I'm totally convinced of it. I wasn't able to find a mashup or anything like this, but I'm totally convinced that the NT Warrior intro is based on the Digimon intro. I'd love to just like play them side by side to see if maybe they actually are, because they sound a little similar. I think they're doing similar visual things with like panels and stuff. And man, I need to go. I need to do that at some point and create a little mashup and be like, are they actually doing this? Are these really the same? Because I'm pretty convinced that they were totally riffing 100% off of the Digimon intro. But what's the other thing I was going to say about the NT Warrior series? Oh, yeah. Well, so there's like sound effects and things in it that are sound effects pulled verbatim straight out of the original Mega Man cartoon. And I'm listening to it. Oh, I know exactly. That's the original Buster Gun sound. That's this thing over here. And it's just a lot of reused assets, even some like scenes that they redid, but the scenes are actually based off of scenes that you like clips and things from the original one. It's just really funny. All of that kind of mixed in the pot together. So if you want to check out the NT Warrior series, that is available on Capcom's YouTube channel. So go check it out and enjoy. Relive childhood. So let's go ahead and get into this. Oh, I will take a note about the Eclipse engine. That is, I believe, Digital Eclipse's proprietary engine. But this is the kind of stuff they do. You know, just for, out of curiosity, I'm going to see Digital Eclipse. Let's see if I can find a games list that they've done, because I think they've done a bunch of restorations. Let's see, they've done a Blizzard Arcade collection, the Disney Classics collection, of course. That doesn't surprise me at all. The Street Fighter 30 Anniversary Edition. Yeah, so this is their whole thing. Okay, so yeah, they did the original Mega Man Legacy collection as well as the Battle Network one. So yeah, I think they've got more. I wouldn't be surprised if they were the same team who helped out with the X series and the Zero series. Wouldn't be surprised. Yeah, it's quite an interesting thing to like be working on those kinds of restorations. I've never done it. I think that would be an interesting technical hurdle to figure all of that out. Let's go ahead and jump over into our game. Let me hit the play button here and see if it all works. There we go. Well, neoboards. That wasn't on the Wikipedia entry. I love this song. Oh, and so fun fact. So, I'm going to turn this down just a little bit. Oop. So, long time ago, Caleb was in probably middle school or high school, somewhere around there. I had Game Maker version 8. This was back before Game Maker was owned by Yo-Yo. And I made this little game. It was called Ball Maze. And the idea was you were this little ball, little red ball, and you were trying to navigate this maze full of lots of sharp objects, and you had to get to the end, and there were points to collect, the little power-ups and things. It was actually pretty solid. I remember that game very fondly. But what was so fun for me in that one, there was like didn't really have much in like the internet or like ways to get YouTube download of recordings or things. So I actually took my Game Boy and this really horribly crappy little microphone, desk microphone that I had, and I set up my Game Boy on the desk. I pointed my microphone at it, and I actually recorded various tracks from the Mega Man game. Probably, I don't remember which one I would have been playing at the time. It was the one with Duo, which I think was 4. So I recorded from the speaker on my Game Boy Advance to this little crappy microphone, and then I edited them in, I believe, Audacity. I cut them all up, and then I put them in my game. So actually the game, every level used a different track from Mega Man Battle Network, probably 4. And of course, which like is likely, like, I could never release that. Like, I couldn't have ever done anything with that. But that was it. Like, I recorded it myself manually. I put it into my game. And what a spectacular thing that was. It was something that I got to enjoy. I built a game from beginning to end way back when, and it was just very satisfying. I should go back and make a Ball Maze remake. Ball Maze 2 for the game that nobody ever saw, the original Ball Maze. Okay, so jam out to the tunes. Let's go ahead and play Mega Man Legacy Collection. Now, what they do is they release these in volumes. So, come on. Uh-oh. Am I not getting...
Dreams? Us robots mostly dream of electric sheep.
Electric sheep. Ah. So, okay. My controller is not presently working. Gonna have to figure out what's going on there. But, what they do here is... Ooh, I got a sneeze coming on. There's that sheep pollen warning. Ooh. Un moment.
Who called quiz? It's quiz time. Come on and do it. Cha-cha-cha-cha-cha-cha.
Thanks for covering for me, Mega Man. Yes, so they actually have designed the menu to be as if you were using the PET, which is an acronym, Personal Terminal. And that's where we have the Mega Man NetNavi is standing here, and you actually will say things periodically, and he'll actually respond to you based on how long you played, what time of day it is. He'll have different kinds of reactions. Hilarious. Great choice. This is what I'm talking about when you're like adding little bits of extra flair. And the voice actor for Mega Man in this is the voice actor from the NT Warrior series. And so they actually they went all in on this, which is excellent. Yes, Wes. Actually, I happened to see that out of the corner of my eye. That's why I came back and said, thanks for covering for me, Mega Man. Now, unfortunately, my controller is not getting detected, which is going to make things very, very challenging. Oh, there we go. Ah, awesome. We got it. We're back. All right. So the way that they have organized the Legacy collections is they've almost always done it in sets 1 and 2. So they divide it somewhere along the middle, and you get the first set, and then you get the second set. I don't know what... Oh, great question from Wes. I'll answer that in a second. I don't know why they split it up. Probably money, but I guess if people just really liked the old X series and not the new ones, they could play the ones they liked and not have to buy the whole thing all at once. Yeah, I don't know. It is a thing, though. It's in a set. So the question here was, what platforms was this released on? Yes, they were all released on all of the platforms. That's why in the previous slide I said platforms. Yes, it's on everything basically. It's on PC, it's on Switch, it's on Xbox, PlayStation, everything. I had it looked up actually explicitly what it was. Let's see, Switch, PlayStation, Xbox. Oh, it's funny. It says, okay, Nintendo 3DS. Is the 3DS even still actually a thing? But it's on Microsoft and apparently Amazon Luna. So it is. If you've got something, you can probably play it. All right, here we go. BlackBerry. Maybe not a BlackBerry. All right, so we're gonna play Mega Man Battle Network 3. And let's see.
Getting into any new hobbies lately?
Oh yeah, you can intentionally talk to Mega Man. That's right. Let me see.
Think I could do it too?
So let's switch between.
We got this.
It doesn't seem to let me switch between white or blue. We'll go with white then. Now, this is classic. This is used in all of the it's used in all of the Mega Man Battle Network games. Even the first one. They might have made it a little different though. The year is 20X, or 2000X. The world's machines are joined in a worldwide network. But there is a dark side to this convenience as well. Computer viruses and an increase in net crime. The virus lab at the Psi Lab conducts research into ways of dealing with these viruses. One day, the students of AC/DC School in AC/DC Town in Den City took a field trip to the Psi Lab's virus lab. Okay. Wes asked a great question. So, screen resolutions is an interesting problem to solve. So, basically what we've got going on here is that the screen for the Game Boy Advance was, at a guess, a 4:3 resolution. And so, of course, it leaves you on a 16:9 resolution screen with these bars on the side, right? So what they've done, and they've done this with basically all of the Legacy collections, is they've given you choices for what you want to do with that. So if we go to our menu here, they will actually give you the option to change the border available on the sides there. So you can go with like this one. Go back, now we see the border has changed. And so it's just a little bit, instead of just having the black bars on the side, then it gives you the opportunity to add a little extra flair. Honestly, I kind of wish there was a black option, just like black bars, because I have done that. I think they've done that in some of the other ones, and I find the characters along the side a little distracting. That's just a personal preference thing, but I personally find them a little distracting. But yeah, you can choose different things. That's why I chose kind of one of the darker ones. Probably this one wouldn't be too bad. I don't know, though. Having evil-eyed base in the corner there glaring at me, that might be a little unsettling for too long. But I'll go back to my other one. Let's see. So another thing we can do, we can look on. So they have this filter setting here. So if you go back and look at it, of course, we're talking about little pixels on a screen, right? So it was, I don't know what the exact resolution was of the Game Boy Advance, but it was not huge, right? So little pixels. So what they've done is, again, we're talking about a 4K monitor here, and so they've got to do something to not make it look pretty terrible. Because what you do when you have that small resolution of the Game Boy Advance, the pixels blend together. They kind of create a unified whole because they're small enough. They kind of blending together. And actually, if you look at the old CRT screen, so if you're using the old CRT screen, then when you get those pixels, they actually do blend together in a kind of unique way on a CRT. That when you got an LCD screen or something like this, it doesn't quite. It's so clear, right? The pixels are super clear. So what they've done is they've created a filter that tries to sort of emulate that blending and blurring effect. I've done this twice now. So on the Mega Man Zero collection and on this one, I was like, you know what? What I really want, I want that original pixel feel. I want that look. So I came in here and I turned off the filter. And it looks like this. And I went, whoa, actually, never mind. Because when you are at this resolution, it looks really bad, and it just doesn't look good at all. Now I'm looking over here, so I got OBS open on the side, right? And this is what I'm seeing the stream go through, and then I've got the actual stream up here. So up in the little tiny corner where I see my stream window, it actually looks great. It looks fantastic because that's the size it was on the Game Boy Advance, right? It was great. But if I look on the 4K monitor, what's right in front of me, it looks terrible. It actually absolutely terrible. So this idea of adding the filter is actually pretty great. Like, it really does. It does work very effectively what it's trying to accomplish. It gives you the right look of what it was going for originally. I think it's a good call. In the end, my initial gut reaction was, I don't want this on with the original. I think it's actually a good call. And those are the kind of interesting things, like when you're trying to cross the gap between old different hardware from modern hardware. There's a lot of factors you got to take into account to try and make it more accessible, more available, while also delivering that same kind of original experience, right? All right, sorry, just reading the chat here for a second. All right, so we are in the Psi Lab. This is the new virus lab, huh? This is our hero, our protagonist, Lan Hikari. This is even cooler than This is even cooler than I heard it was. Lan, we're here on a school trip. Stay focused and quit daydreaming, okay? I know, Mega Man. Hey, Lan, didn't you hear what I said? Look, everyone else is paying attention. All right. So we have our basic standard movement again. Mega Man Battle Network, if you couldn't tell already, is what we'd call an isometric perspective game. So everything plays out in this isometric perspective. You always get the nearest left and right walls are invisible so that you can see into the rooms. Occasionally they'll leave some things there so that it'll sort of obfuscate your view on purpose. But for the most part, you get the two far walls and the two near walls are missing. And yeah, you get this perspective walk around. The entire game is in this perspective, save for the battle arena, which we'll get to, I'm sure. They do permanently give the option to run. So you can move quickly, or you can move at a walk pace. But who wants to move at a walk pace? Also, I love that Lan eternally has skates on. Just always has skates on, which is great. And he's the protagonist because he has a headband. Because every good protagonist has a headband. I'm sorry, I really love these games, but they are very much what they are. So one thing I do appreciate about this game is there's totally a tutorial, and we'll go to the tutorial here in a second. But one of the things that they definitely do is they do give you the option of talking to people who will then tell you about how to play the game. So like that conversation, all it was a tutorial conversation. And you didn't have to do it. It was there as an option for you. I do find that having lots of conversations with people in this game tends to be good, because sometimes you can find items just by having a conversation. Other times by interacting with most of the things in the environment are surprisingly enough interactable in this game. Trash cans, computers, desks, bookshelves, tons of things in this game are interactive, and they just give you a little bit of flavor text. And or sometimes they'll have hidden things, so there's actually value in trying to interact with everything. So let's see. Yes, the NPCs aggressively walk in their lines. Chilling to the music. Oh, okay. This is juicy. This is the thing they changed. So remember, I was talking about earlier when we're just talking not about the remake, but about the games themselves. So you have Mega Man Battle Network 1 through 6, and in each iteration they try to add a little bit of different something. So in the first game, you have these battle chips, and we'll get into this more, but basically you just have 30 that show up during your battles, and then you have a pile of those that you can collect throughout the levels, and then you can actually swap out which of the 30 you're actually using in a particular given battle. And that's pretty much it. Like, it's very straightforward in the first game, and they progressively add new pieces to it. So what this is talking about is the regular system, where you can actually set a particular chip to be available always when you first start a battle. So there's one that you like, it's a really good chip to lead with, then you can use that one. And really, actually, I could totally see how that would benefit the system, because in the first one, it's just a totally random choice, whichever the ones that you get. Having a little bit of control over it, that's nice. Yeah, that's right. And they limit it so that you can't just put your Uber chip in right away. So you can increase your memory capacity over time, so you can make your regular chip a better chip. An umbrella factory. Let's see. Are they gonna let me leave? No. They are actually gonna make me talk to everybody. That's probably okay. I take back what I said earlier. They're making you talk to everybody. Very convenient. I also love that you get a flavor of each character's personality by how quickly their mouths move. This is me trying to walk away, and every time you try to walk away, you get the little pop-up. All right, so now we're in the cyber world. And I think this is actually really fun, the way that they interplay back and forth between the cyber world and the real world. You can do a lot of things where the two worlds sort of cross-interact with each other. They did more of that, actually, in the Star Force series. But yeah, there's like, you can unlock doors and things that you get to kind of work back and forth between the real world and the cyber world, which I think is really cool. And here's our virus busting tutorial. All right, virus busting. Here we go. Quick review. Pointy, pointy, pointy arrow. Hello! In the chat. All right, so this is our battle window. One of the things that actually was an interesting change between this one and the first one is that I believe, now I'm second guessing myself, but boy, man, I'm gonna have to go check on this now, but I'm almost entirely convinced that what they actually did is they did not include the letter as a part of the chip stack here. So they just show you the icon, and you'd have to go to each one to see the letter. The reason the letters is important, so basically what you can do is you can choose up to 5 chips. But one of the limiting factors is you can only choose chips that are the same or chips that have the same letter, and you can't necessarily mix those two. So, for instance, I have 2 cannons up, and they both have the letter A. So I could choose any chip that has the letter A, and I can choose any chip that's the same. So I could choose both of those cannons on both of those counts. You could have cannons of different letters, and you could choose all of the cannons together. You could have various chips of different kinds that all have the same letter, and you can choose all of them together. And so this is kind of the primary vector, but when in the first game, the letter doesn't show up as a part of it, so it's actually harder to eyeball which of the chips you are of different letters. You have to kind of like scroll through them really quickly to see which ones you can pick together. This makes it a little bit easier. The other thing it did in the first one is you had the ability to add a second row. It'll talk about this later in the tutorial, I'm sure, but by adding a second row, you could get more choices. But I think, in the first one, it gives you the option to have up to 3 additional rows, but as soon as you choose chips, any additional rows you have go away. Whereas in this one, I believe if you take the time to get additional chips, then it stays for the rest of the combat. Is all you have those 10 slots. So it was a good balancing act. I think they actually do that. They made that change in the second game. Let's go ahead and actually get our cannons here. All right, moving in. So, as I said, the rest of the game is in the traditional isometric perspective, but in the actual combat, the combat grid is this 2 sets of 9x9, or I guess it's 9x3 grid, and all of the combats are always in this grid, and it's a really excellent system, in my opinion. I think it's really, really great. It allows you to have some freedom of movement. It's in real time, but it has a little bit of that RPG feel where you can make your actions, make your choices. Your positioning does matter. So it's that real time flavor with also the RPG-ishness of, and it's got the card battle element in it too, as well. So I'm just going to skip through this because we don't need any of this. All right, so these are our classic Mets, which, by the way, have shown up in, I believe, every single Mega Man game ever? Question mark. So here it's very simple. They move only in the up-down pattern. Once they are in line with Mega Man, they will hit the ground with their little wavy waves, and then they will... And then if you get hit by it, damage, that kind of thing. So Mega Man has the standard Buster Cannon. So it is not very fast, but I think it does actually charge up. That just takes a long time. Fully charged Buster Shot does 5. Without fully charging, it just does 1. So it does 1 damage otherwise. There are ways to increase your Buster Cannon's abilities. This is a cool thing that they actually changed in the from the original one. So the original one, basically, your Buster Cannon had three fields: how much damage it did, how fast it shot, and how fast your cannon charged. And what you would do is, throughout the course of the game, you would buy these power-up things that basically would just give you 1 point to spend in each of the categories. And so by the end of it, your Buster Gun was pretty much at like every shot did 10 or whatever, and then it was much faster and it was much more powerful. I think it was 10, maybe it was just 5. But basically, one of the things that they changed here is, well, we'll get to it, but they added a totally different system for how you were able to increase the power of your Buster Gun. Spoilers, it's called the Navi Customizer. I don't actually think we will get far enough in the game for the Navi Customizer to come into play for us. But it is a very cool system, and I'd love to talk about it. I'll see if maybe I can pull up some images to show you just at least what it would look like. But yeah, let's go ahead with finish the tutorial. Oh yes, they also added the what I did there. You heard that little extra "you got him" sound. That was a counter. So at a certain point, the character sort of flashes, and or I guess this is probably not when it flashes, but it's just before it attacks, right there. That gets a counter, and that can usually affect the rewards that you get after the combat. Oh yeah, this one I think is in every Mega Man game. So you have your standard attack. Every Mega Man battle over game is this example in particular. Usually the cannons come, and then in this one you have the steel, and then you use the sword. So one of the cool things is that it's not just the 3x3 grid. You can actually take over your enemy's spaces, and your enemy can take over yours, depending on which enemy you're fighting. And what's really interesting is that you can damage the different areas, so you can break blocks, and eventually they started adding terrain effects. So there was like fire and grass and various other things. That actually, it might have added that in this one, in Mega Man Battle Network 3. Looking in the chat here. No, I've never heard of Kind Seed. So old school Mega Man uses this RPG design. I'm not sure exactly what your question is, Wes. You might have to clarify that for me. But here, the point of this tutorial is, well, so yeah, I mean, the original old school Mega Man is side-scroller platformer, right? And so there's no side-scroll platforming in this at all, 0. Totally different approach, which I like. Actually, it's something a little more fresh. All right, so what we've got here is we're going to two-step process. We're going to grab the first row of the enemy. That's what this area grab does. And then we're going to use the wide sword, which is a 3-wide swing, so that we can defeat the 2 in the middle. This is pretty standard for how this is all put together. Yep. All right. Steal 3. Swipe the sword. All right. And we'll finish them off. Kaboom. And one more. What is this one going to do? Oh, health. I see. Boulder opening. Ah, yeah. Okay. So this is a thing that they changed. Come on. Yes, this is a thing they changed. So what this allows you to do is, oh, right, okay. I remember how this works now. So in the first game, the add button was available, and what it would do is would add an entire extra row of chips. So you could get up to 15 chips that you would choose, and then as soon as you chose any chips, it would go back to just 5. In subsequent games, probably, I don't remember if they started in the second one or not, probably. But what you can do here is you can choose to basically throw away chips, and the amount of chips that you throw away, you will get those new slots additionally, but for the rest of the battle. So I have no chips, and I have to wait until the custom gauge fills in order to... there we go. And there are 3 extra chips there. And then if you wanted to, you could go ahead and then throw away 2 more, and then that would get the last 2 slots available to you. That can sometimes be a game changer strategy, getting all 10 of those slots open, because it just really opens up the ability for you to do different things that you wouldn't have been able to do before. All right. Thank you. I love this thing where you see the double quotation marks at the end there. I think that was from the original, like we were talking about. They maintained some of the weird spelling errors. I think the double quotation mark is so funny. Back to school. Land getting called out by the teacher. Uh-oh. Let's see, what grade is he in this time? Ah, he's still in 5th grade. Lan, the eternally in 5th grade kid. Yeah, the music is great. Ah, yes, Higsby. Random creeper walking up to the elementary school students. Sidebar, I always thought that Gutsman's head looked like it was Swiss cheese. Oh, I love this music. Let's see. Can you jack into the squirrel in this one? There was a game where the squirrel is able to be jacked into, but I don't remember which one it is. One that you should be able to jack into is the doghouse, a secret security system. All right, cyber world. Ooh, this is interesting. Okay. They increased the cannon's strength level. Interesting. All right. This is a new thing that they start the terrain with some damage ahead of time. That's fascinating. Not sure why I did that. This is terrible. That's right. They have this bug fragment thing. This is new for this game too. And you can find these little green or blue, sometimes purple, little crystalline guys floating around. And there's usually sometimes zenny, sometimes money pickups, various things. Let's just go to Lan's house. The Lan's mom's one job in the whole world is she is always cooking something, and Lan is usually consuming most of it. That's the running gag, is that his mom is always cooking and Lan is always eating. Ah, sponge cake. Mega Man, and I don't know if that's Proto Man. Let's see. Oops. So things that they have done in some of the other Legacy collections, there's a couple of things you can do, because one of the things that they want to do is some of these older games are not particularly accessible. They can be really challenging, actually. So they've actually occasionally added various systems that help you overcome some of that. So in Mega Man X Legacy Collection, they added the ability where it would give you like a extra health bonus kind of a thing. It's either an extra health bonus or it's an extra damage reduction bonus, where basically you're not invincible, but you can last a lot longer. In this one, what they did is they gave you this max buster mode, and basically what it does is your buster cannon, which as you've seen only does 1 damage, they change it so that it does 100 damage for every shot. And as you can imagine, if you turn this on, you almost don't even need to use your chips most of the time, because your buster cannon will just lay waste to everything. So yeah, it's nice, especially because there's a couple of moments of the game where they get a little grindy. Never in the main storyline do you have to get grindy usually, but sometimes if you're trying to just explore every corner of everything, or you forgot this one item and you've got to go all the way to find it in this one spot, and it's going to take you forever and you have to fight all these battles. Sometimes it's a nice little extra thing to be just like, just make it so you win the battles really easily so you don't have to deal with it too much. That's kind of a nice feature. It's flexible enough that you can, it's right here in the menu. It's the first option. You can turn it on and off very easily, very quickly. And it gives you the ability to just trounce a couple of battles. And if you were just really struggling with the game, then it could give you the edge you would need to be able to overcome. So it's a nice feature. I don't remember what they did for the Zero series. I'm not sure if they did anything with the Zero series, honestly. The Zero series is very hard. Let's see. Net crime alert. Number of net crimes has increased in recent years. Please be careful of viruses and evil navies. The prelims have started. I'm going to start without you. Hurry up and come to ACDC Square. So we got to go on to the internet. All right. We just got to explore the corners, It's very important. All right. Here we are in the open internet. They like to do things like this where they put it over there, so they tempt you where it's like, ooh, there's a little crystal thing over here. You better get it. Drives me like crazy because I'm always, I've got to get it. Like this one is behind a door. You can't get past the door. There's like the purple crystal there. They did that in the first game too. There's a locked door right at the very beginning, and you cannot unlock it until way later on. And so you just have to pass that purple crystal going, I know you're something valuable. I just know it's... All right. Oh yeah, they have the attack plus 10. These have been an interesting addition. So they have the wild card, the star-shaped one. I don't actually know if they had many of those, if any, in the first one. But it allows you to obviously attach it to anything. So you could attach it to either of these. Now, because it's technically a different letter, though I chose 2 mini bombs, because one's an S and one's a B, I can't then also use a wild card. It would have to be a wild card with something that had the same number, or so the same letter. Oh yeah, and I think the more counters you get, the more of those bug fragments that you get. Yeah, so I got 2 counters, so I got 2 bug fragments. There's a blue crystal over there. Gotcha. Actually, I have no recollection what the bug fragments are for, but hey. Oh, and this is another thing that's really interesting. So in the first game, you have a certain amount of HP, which you can increase. But the amount of HP that you get, every battle it resets again. So if you have 100, you will always have 100 at the start of every single battle. But they changed that. So I had 100, I got damage for 10, now I'm down to 90, and you're at 90 until you get it back. Which actually makes healing a much more important priority for the rest of the game. And these guys being 60 is actually quite a bit more challenging. Okay. Can't damage these guys with any of this, so I'm just gonna trade them out. Get myself some new chips. Let's see what we got. Still not great, but we'll make it work. Let's see. Let's do this one, this one, this one. Yeah. Yeah. Oh. The letters from the chips don't represent something in particular. They just are another limiting factor on what you can choose together. So the letters represent, basically, you can choose different chips if they have the same letter. But if you choose 2 chips with that are the same with different letters, you can't then choose something else that has an additional letter of the same type. Sorry, if that wasn't super clear. There's also a couple places where there are hidden spots. Yes. 3 stars. Now notice those bug fragment collections. 1 star, I believe, is only 1. 2 stars is 3. 3 stars is 8. So it actually really does help if you're collecting bug fragments to try to get the 3 stars. That means that you countered on all 3 enemies. Now, the N1 tournament is secretly the stolen plot from Mega Man 6 from the original series. If you know Mega Man 6 from the original series, which is my personal favorite from the original series, then you will already know what the N1 is doing. Take that. Ooh, a 9 too. Oh, I've been getting these Shockwave 8s. I should probably... Here, let's show this off a little bit. So we got the chip folder, and we have... Let's see, how do you get from the chip folder to your bag? Oh, that's right, okay. Here we go. So this is what you have in your pack. So it's the things that you have available that are not assigned to a folder, and then this is your folder. You actually can get multiple folders, so if you want to create like multiple loadouts, you can do that. Let's see. What do I want to switch things out for? So air shots are pretty useless. Panel outs are really useless. I don't use those at all. Some people might, but they're not really my jam. Let's see. Let's do... Put a couple of shockwaves in there. Let's get rid of one of these swords. Yeah, there we go. So I just replaced a couple chips with these shockwave H's. These are really nice. They're pretty good early game cards. A net trader. Okay, so you can see some of the things we might be able to buy. So there's an HP memory that increases your overall HP. Fairly straightforward. I believe it increases by 20 each time you buy one. There are lots of them hidden. There's lots of them to buy, and usually there's like a series that you can buy from each trader, and they get a little bit more expensive each time. But one of the things that you, I think you get to 1,000. I think that's that's the maximum you can possibly get to is 1,000. Let's see. Vegan, barrier, recovery. Recovery 10 star. That could be really valuable because you can combine it with anything, which is nice. some of the things that they do here. So there's actually the ability to combine chips. So if you get like cannon A, B, C together, it'll create the Z cannon, which will let you fire a bunch of stuff at the same time. There's a whole bunch of hidden things. Usually one of the chips is hidden somewhere. Either there's a shop that sells it. So like in the first game, you can very easily get Cannon A and Cannon B and Cannon D, but Cannon C is much more rare. There's a couple of places you can pick it up from and a couple of traders that will sell Cannon C, but you have to actually buy it in order to get it or find it later on. And so it prevents you from being able to actually create the Cannon ABC or BCD combo. But there's a bunch of stuff out there. I don't know if any of these ones in particular are one of those. V-Gun L might potentially be, but yeah, I'll grab some memory. There was a MB, right? So in your chip folder, there is a way to set. I'm forgetting how you actually set it. It's funny because the kid explained it, but I have totally forgotten. I think it's whoops. Probably like. Oops. Go away. Here we go. Found it. So, let's see. My limit, so you see folder 1 next to it is MB4. So that means that I can set a chip that has the value of 4 to be my regular chip, which means that it will always be the very first chip that shows up. So these attack plus 10s are 4s. You can actually sort it by MB. So I can see that these ones are 4. So I could see, maybe throw this in there. So now I'll always get a free 10. Another thing that could be valuable is, let's look at this. Doesn't show how much megabyte usage it is. But that could be one that might be useful. If you could get the megabytes for it. Ooh, 2,000. That was quite a lot, actually. Not quite enough to get the next HP up, but there it is. So now you'll see it. There's my regular chip is set, and it's not gonna. Your regular chip is the thing you'll be able to upgrade. It's not going to be super valuable right out of the gate, but. Yeah, I could combine it with this mini bomb, and I think, do you have to do it second? You might have to do it second. Yeah, there you go. I think if you chose it as the first one, it wouldn't bonus it, but I think you have to choose it as the second one. Yes! Nice. Did I go over here? No. No, I did not. What is that one? Copy damage. Duplicate damage on second enemy. Ah. I think I've seen that one used very effectively before. Interesting. Oh, perfect. This is absolutely perfect. This is Shockwave at its finest right here. Come on, Mega Man, you're so slow. Ooh. Come on, get him. Yes! Panel out 3-star. Not too bad. I don't usually use the panel out ones. I'm not as big as some of that. The level alteration stuff, it can be really helpful. There's really good strategies for it. It's just not something that I typically have used too much. Oh, by the way, the other thing that they added, and this was a feature of the original game, you can actually battle with other people. So you could hook up your games together using the old link cable, and you could actually battle each other. I never really ever know anybody around me who had like played through and beaten the game all the way before, and so I did play it with my friend David one time, who just hadn't beaten the game yet, and of course I'm sitting there with 1,000 HP and he's got like 200, and I'd be like, let me bring out my 500 damage attack, and it was like, yeah, this probably isn't actually all that fun. But for people who are able to like can play this, they can compete together. I think it's really cool that they kept that as a feature, and they actually built it out too, where you can compete with somebody else outside of the game itself. So you can actually, like, you don't have to be in one of the games. I believe you can actually compete with somebody else, kind of at a higher level outside of the core game. Let me just bring up some health here. Nice. Oh, that's that one we saw earlier from the very beginning. That's funny. I'd wait a second more to get it. I don't have a ticket. I've got a golden ticket. Oh, I can do this. Watch this. Here we go. Yeah! S tier! The almighty S tier. Oh, I already went down here. there are more interesting battles besides just meteors and cannons. Please believe me. Wait. If I can figure out which direction I'm going in. Ooh, this is a nice battle. And these are electric bunnies. I think they're actually designed to be like spark plugs, right? Anyway, I should just get on with the plot. Eventually, apparently. One of the things that they add later is they add, it's like called rogue data, I think. It's where basically previous bosses that you fought, they get additional levels of difficulty and they hide them in corners throughout the world. And if you find the corner, you can fight them again. Or net traders. Oh, here's one of these. This one is the one that changes all of the panels to grass, which trying to remember exactly what some of them do. I think grass, if you're on a grass panel and you get hit with a fire, it causes extra damage, which is cool. It can also be used against you. It's an interesting one. Grab an HP memory. Oh yeah, subchips is the thing they added where basically it gives you the ability to, since in this game and all subsequent games, you don't heal between battles, now you can basically, they're potions, you know, that kind of thing. 50 HP, full HP, a short while where you don't encounter enemies. That can be nice, you know. I never do it usually, but it's a thing that you could do. Yeah, so they have chat boards, which is great. Oh yeah, those rolling backgrounds, man, they're great. Yeah, you can read the chat boards all day long. They sometimes contain useful tips. True or false question. I'll ask a question. 0 or X data will be hidden on the net. Then you go out and find the one that you think is right. Bring back the right data, you pass the mission. There are 3 missions in all. This is the first. Do you want to be in the net battle? Here's mission number 1. Red means stop. True or false? Pretty sure that that's true, right? Let's go find the O data. ACDC 3 to find true or false. We want to find the O data. Man, this is so long ago in my memory. It's just crazy. Which area are we in right now? Yeah, this is it. Find the O data. There's the X data over there. Let's look over here for the O data. Yeah. Ah, messed up. Alright, we're just gonna end this. There's my O data. Actually, remember what happens if you bring the wrong one back. Probably just says, go try it again. You failed. Delete it. You failed me. For the last time. Oh, wait. This is the wrong direction. Shoot. There's a couple of things about this game, again, that we won't get to that are really neat. So they added this whole thing called styles, where basically you can take on, based on the kind of like enemies that you fight slash element types that you use, you can, You can take on different forms. So you can... yes. Oh, great point, Wes. Actually, yes, I definitely played these games on long car rides. And also, I also had the same thought about the Steam Deck. This would be awesome to play on the Steam Deck. It would really capture that same experience, I think, in a lot of ways. So, yes. You got a Steam Deck? This would probably be great on the Steam Deck. But yeah, so you can have styles. That doesn't happen until later in the game, but based on the kinds of things you've been doing, you'll get a different kind of style, which is great. Is a ton of lead heavier than a ton of feathers? What do you think, Wes? I'll wait. Give me your answer. Do you think a ton of lead is heavier than a ton of feathers? Wes, what do you think? Give it to me. Or anybody else's in the chat. No? You don't think so? You don't think a ton of lead is heavier than a ton of feathers? I don't want to see how many feathers a ton of feathers would be, though. That would be a lot of feathers. I mean, a staggering amount of feathers. Anyone want to look up how many feathers a ton of feathers would be? Probably a lot of feathers. Ooh, I might get the chip. No, I didn't get the chip. Sad. The bunnies have a nice chip. X data, right? Hey, there's the X data. Great question. Boss battles indeed. There will be many boss battles. So in traditional Mega Man, you get boss selections. You have to go through their levels, and then you fight them each, right? And then you get their powers, etc., etc., etc. Formula is a little bit different here because this is actually trying to tell a linear narrative, and so you go through the bosses in order every single time based on the narrative and the circumstances and the situation. This is a factorial. I feel like I should know this. $20, 7 is 34. It's 45. Let's see, 45. 49, 52, 55. I'm going to check my work on a calculator. Don't judge me. Hey, I got 55, and I think 55 is the correct answer, so... Boss. Oh, you know what? I'm going to leave and go back in because it's actually faster to leave and then instead of going all the way through 3 and 2. What opens the purple skull doors? It is something... There's like a key card thingy that you get later. Don't exactly know what it's called. Ooh, I got it. Peace. Yeah, it's some kind of like special access key that you get later. Much later. The third game is really interesting because parts 1, 2, and 3 form kind of a unique arc. So the first one and the second one seem like kind of separate stories, but then the third one, the whole arc comes to a completion in, I think, a very satisfying way. So yeah, 1, 2, and 3, I really, really great, in my opinion. So then 4, 5, and 6 are a little bit less loosely connected. They're more of their own individual thing. But the story for 3 is actually fairly complex, and there's lots of pieces and parts involved, and it goes a lot of interesting directions, and it ends up in this really neat culminating thing. I don't remember lengthwise. I feel like 3... I wouldn't be surprised if 3 was the longest of the 3. Yay! All right. So there's more we could talk about. Let me see if I can pull up some things. Let me go ahead and solve. Let's see. Right. I'm going to go ahead and throw up this image for us. All right. Let's take a look here. So this, what you're seeing here, is a screenshot of the Navi customizer. So basically what you get later is you get this grid. The grid, I think, starts smaller than that. I think it might actually start as a 3x3 grid, but eventually grows to a 4x4 grid. And basically what it gets you is the ability to choose. It's a little Tetris game almost, where you get to choose how you want to upgrade Mega Man. This will happen, I think, after you fight the first boss, much later. It's a really neat little addition. So, whereas the other games are primarily you're specifically like putting points into Mega Man to increase his abilities, this gets you a lot of flexibility in terms of what you want to do. And some of these can have a dramatic effect on how you can play the game. So basically what you get is you get these blocks. So if you look together, there's the set of 3 in the bottom. There's the set of 4 yellow ones in the L shape. There's that big block of blue. There's the red one. Basically, there's rules for how you can customize your setup, and you have to follow the rules, sort of. So basically, what you can do is you find these chips in the world, or you can buy them at stores, and they will give you different things. So there's some examples on the side. There's HP plus 200, 300, 400. And what each of these are going to do is, if you can get them into the customizer, they will give you whatever that benefit is. Some of them are HP. Some of them are reduce how long it takes for the custom bar to fill, so you can get chips faster. Some of them are you can start with your Buster gun is maximized, and so it's way more powerful. I think that actually might be what the big blue one is in the middle, actually, now that I'm thinking about it. Or that might even be a bigger one. That might be a bigger one. But basically what you have to do is you fit these things all together and when you have them connected, it gives your guy a boost. And there's a couple of rules. So 2 of the same color cannot be touching each other. If they do, then it causes a bug. And that's actually an interesting thing. So you can actually get bugs happening to you in the game. So if you mess up with your Navi customizer, and so you've broken some of the rules, then in the end, you can go into battle with all kinds of weird things happening. It might invert your control scheme. So up is up and down are reversed, and left and right are reversed. That's a weird one. You can slowly lose HP over the course of a battle. You could... there's other things that can happen. I'm trying to remember what some of them are. Oh, I think there's one that, like, every time you move, the panel that you were on previously turns into something, like might turn into grass, might turn into lava or something. That might be something else, but I think that happens in Bug Style too. But what it actually can, You know how in like the original Pokemon game, you can grab onto Magikarp, and boy, it's a pain to deal with that Magikarp. But if you hang on to the Magikarp long enough, get that XP going, and Magikarp turns into Gyarados, and suddenly all the world is like bowing before your awesome might and power. One of the things you can do is, because of the style system that I was explaining earlier, you can get Mega Man into a specific style, and that will give you benefits and bonuses. If you play with a bug in your Navi customizer for long enough, you can get a bug style, and that actually can be very powerful. It will also potentially have different effects and things, but it's an overall net positive. So I remember when I played this, I intentionally got the bug style, and it was awesome. Like, it really was really cool. I think, and then once you get one particular style, you can you can get a new style, and then it gives you the choice if you want to accept the new style or keep the style you currently have. But man, it's a cool system to be sure. And it definitely, a lot of the things that they added are things that can really dramatically affect how the game plays, like how your strategies are. So if you're one of the grass style, well, you're really, really weak to fire. Like, it's like double damage, I think. But you can also do things like, if you stand on a grass panel, you heal, until you're like full health. And it's just fairly fast, if I recall correctly. Obviously fire is an option as well. I don't remember what all of the style combos are. There's quite a few. I think there's at least fire, grass, and water. But there might be others. But there's always two vectors. So there's the elements, and then there's the like form. And so you can get either one of those. And they later on, I think in 4, they do different things with the form that feels a little bit more like traditional Mega Man, where you have, like, you could get a specific character's power, but you also get a lot more agency in when you choose. You can choose to have this style on or a different style on. You can swap them out a little bit more readily. So I knew that this is a thing that we were not going to get to in the next 15 minutes, because there's a lot between now and then, actually. But I wanted to give you take a look at it. The other thing that's really interesting is, so there's a series of colors, and one of the things that you can do is you can rotate them, but you can't rotate them out of the gate. So when you first get the Navi customizer and you get your first blocks, you will not have the ability to rotate any of them. Eventually later, you will find items that allow you to rotate certain colors. And there's like, I remember having this one where it's like, man, it is in the most inconvenient rotating configuration, but it's something I love to have. And I don't remember which one it was anymore. But it's like, man, if only I could rotate it, it would make all of the difference in the world. And I remember that moment of finally getting the rotator, and I was like, hallelujah, and let me rotate it, and then I could snap things into it way better than I ever could before. So it's surprising. Like, you have Tetris and you can rotate them and whatever. And so when you don't have that ability to rotate, and you just have to make do with what you got until you can get to rotate them, it's a lot of fun. I spent probably way too much time working with the Navi customizer. I feel like I got very good at it. Little baby Caleb back in middle school. But yeah. Anyway, that was a long thing with the Navi customizer, but we'll play just a tiny bit more, and then let's see, get rid of this. Sure, back to the game. Here we are. There. How about this? Let's turn max. Oh, we're not in that anymore, so it doesn't matter. We'll get some dinner, right? We're gonna do meanwhile back at the ranch. Oh no, just dinner's over. I do like beef stroganoff. Oh yeah, so since we're here, let's turn Max Buster mode on. Oh, do they have a day-night cycle? I think that's the thing, isn't it? Ah, he won't let you go outside. Boo. I think there is a little bit of a day-night cycle. Not one that actually cycles, but it's a big pot of stew. So I just saw that West. It's delicious. I would love some beef stroganoff. Anybody making beef stroganoff tonight? But yeah, not a true day-night cycle. Just they sometimes give you nighttime experiences. All right, so just for kicks and giggles, I turned on Max Buster mode. This is what Max Buster mode feels like. Yay, Max Buster mode. Yeah, start over there. Duckies! Reg up 2. Oh, regular memory increased by 2. Hey! This is a fun thing that happens periodically then. Oops. So now I have 6. Oh, that gives me access to all of the Recover 10s and the mini bombs. That's alright. Attack plus 10 has actually been working out for me, so I might keep that for a little bit. But hey, that's pretty cool. Oh, here's an interesting level. So those holes in the middle there are not going to ever fill in throughout the entire course of the battle. If they will fill in, then they'll have little crack marks. Yep, duckies. Oh, he got me. Oh, he got me too. I've got Mega Buster mode on, whatever. 1 hour later. It'll be fine. Well, that's the next adventure. I think we're going to go ahead and probably put a pause on this. But yeah, go ahead and save. Let's see. Turn to the title screen. Actually, no. Let's just quit the game. Get that sweet.
You must be tired. Why don't you take a quick break?
As I said, Mega Man says things depending on how long you've been playing. Yeah. Anyway, this was fun. A little nostalgic trip for me to share Mega Man Battle Network with you all. So if you want to dive into some of that good fun from back in Game Boy Advanced days, this is a really good one. I do recommend the trilogy, at least 1, 2, and 3, if you have the time and are interested. But I recommend it. A lot of fun. I really enjoyed playing these. I'm definitely going to be playing through all of them again. And yeah, thanks for playing. And we'll let me pop over here to our outro screen here. This has once again been the COGG Let's Play. We host this every month. Usually try to have a good design discussion about things. We were looking at having somebody from our community actually recommended a game, which they had found particularly interesting, that they thought would be a good stream. I had a chat with them, and I think we're going to try and do that next month potentially. So stay tuned for that. That's the thing I do want to say. Like, if you've ever got games that you have that you're like, man, this was just a good experience, and love to talk about it from a design perspective, yeah, hit me up. We'll talk about it. And Wes, good point out. This coming Friday from 6 to 9 we are having a prototype and play event. It is an in-person prototype and play event at the Game Arena. I believe the Game Arena at the Gateway, once again, like our last one was. So it was such a good time. The last time we had one of these at the Game Arena, it was a blast. Would love to have all of you come out and check us out. That is the Game Arena at Gateway in downtown Columbus. We had a fantastic time. We really did last time, and would love to have you bring your games, show them off. Would love to talk with you about them, get to learn more about your projects, and just hang out, eat some food, and have a good time. So please put that on your calendars, 6 to 9 p.m. at the Game Arena in Columbus, and we will see you there. I'm Caleb Eno. Thanks, Wes, for hanging out with me and everybody else. This has been fun, and check out Mega Man Battle Network. It's a good classic. So glad to have it back in the ether of my games library. All right, we'll catch y'all later. Thank you so much, and cheers. If I can push the right button. Bye.